Welcome friends to Farm Fresh Designs 59. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, you know how much I appreciate all your support. So let's get started. My first project is a heavy wooden candlestick. And I'm adding this wood piece to it. I really don't know what it came from. I saw it in the thrift shop and I knew that it would be a good base for something. But I actually decided to add it to the top of the candlestick. So the glue that I'm using is Titebond Quick and Thick. And I usually buy it at Walmart back in the section where they have the paint. And it does set up quick, and it's true to its name. And it is thick. And that's one of the reasons that I'm using this silicone stick to put it on with and to spread it, because I'm just not one of those people that like glue on my fingers. Now, the silicone stick is found at Hobby Lobby back where you find the resin. And before I found these, I actually just used popsicle sticks a lot. But that I felt like I was wasting too many of them. And so I'll let it set up overnight. Now, if you'll notice that hole in the top of it, I added air dry clay to fill up that hole, but you'll see later that I changed what I did. So I painted it all with Rust-Oleum white linen chalk paint and let it set up dry, and that air dry clay is still in the middle of it, and you'll see later when I take it out. But I'm using an IOD mold with air dry clay, and this particular mold is called Trimmings 1. Now I like their molds a lot, but I use different name brands as well. And what I like about theirs is that they have a micro rim around the edges, so when you press that air dry clay into it, you don't have a lot of clay over on the edges of it. And I'm going to attach that with also the Titebond glue. Now, because I'm going to be adding it onto a rounded surface, what I do is I just kind of lay it on its side, and I put things on either side so it won't move around. And then I'm going to use painter's tape to lay it down just a bit. And it really doesn't take that long to set up before I go back and I add the mold to the rest of it. So the napkin that I'm using is probably one of my favorite napkins. It has small pink flowers on it, and they are in different clusters, and I'm mostly using the bigger clusters of it. Now that middle section of the candlestick is where I put a lot of the napkins. So now I'm going to show you what I did where that hole was in the top of the candlestick base that I added. So I'm using Amazing Casting Resin. And if you haven't used this before, I like this a lot because it's something that is really strong. And in certain situations, it's better than air dry clay. So let me tell you how you use it. It has two bottles, part A and part B, and you mix it a 1-to-1 ratio. Now it comes with these little cups, but I don't use those. I actually bought some cups on Amazon that have a little spout. So you pour in the A, and then right after that you pour in an equal amount of B, and you need to be ready to stir it right then, because it doesn't take just a second for it to turn clear, and then you need to be ready to pour it. So I'm using the IOD mold that actually came out at Christmas time, and it's called Baubles. Now I'm using the particular mold that's long and skinny, but it still has two little rounded sections off of it. And I'm not pouring it all the way to the top. So this particular Amazing Casting Resin sets up in 10 minutes, and it will be white. So it will set up in 10 minutes. Then I will take it out and I will mix up some more. And when I pour that next part into that mold, then I lay it right on top, and it makes a double-sided mold. And I've already taken that clay out, and I stuck that little bobble in it, and then I poured some extra resin in that hole to just secure it. And now what I'm using is DIY gilding wax to go all around that mold on the top of the candlestick base and on that bauble and then down at the bottom, just to kind of give it a little bit of extra. Because what I'm using this is more of something that you can place your jewelry on, and the bauble in the middle is something that you could use to place maybe your rings on. Now the part that I didn't show you is that I also added some of those pink rose clusters on top of the that little base that I added the bauble to. So what do you think? Is this something that you would use at home, or would you use it for something else? Now, when I did put my napkins down, I actually like to use DIY liquid patina. I just like the way it works out better. It's real thin. I've tried using Mod Podge and thinning it out with water, and I still go back to the liquid patina. So what do you think? And are you someone that likes to decoupage with napkins? I do. In fact, I like to do it a lot, and I probably have too many napkins in my stash, but don't tell my husband. But I'm just going all around the edges, and that's what it looks like when it's all finished. Now, my next project is just a thrifted purse. It's not a name brand purse. I think I only paid about $4 for it. And I'm thinking that my granddaughter's probably going to steal it when she sees it. So I'm just painting the outside of it with my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. And I do put 2 or 3 coats on it to make sure it covers. And I go on the sides, I go on the bottom, I even paint the handles. I just paint the entire thing white. Now, I stuffed in some plastic grocery sacks inside to make it real steady and to kind of give it some oomph to it when I was painting it so it wouldn't kind of like lay flat. Now, one of the things that I did was I actually painted the zippers. There was a little side zipper and there was a top zipper, but once I painted it, I would kind of run the zipper back and forth several times so that it wouldn't mess up the actual zipper. And I painted the handle and I painted all the parts of it. And it was kind of cumbersome to paint, and I had to lay it kind of in weird different ways while it was drying, because there's not really a good way when you're painting something with a handle on it to get it to dry in particular way. So this one was a little bit harder to do just for this sheer fact that it was hard to paint. Now, one of my weaknesses is truly pocketbooks or purses, whatever you want to call them, and I just didn't have the heart to use any of mine. Now, I'm just using some napkins that have purple flowers on it, and I only just put some just kind of to the side of it. And I'm going to take a big piece of lace, and I'm going to tie it around on one side of the purse. And then I'm actually going to use an old, what my grandmother called was an ear bob, to kind of push through that little center of the bow. And it would be detachable. If it was something that, you know, I was going to maybe possibly sell, I probably would glue that piece of old jewelry on. But this is probably something that my granddaughter's going to see, and she's probably going to want it because her favorite color is purple. Now, one of the things I like to do with liquid patina is, even though I'm putting the napkins on, I still like to brush it all over just so it has that same shine. So today I'm participating in a napkin challenge hosted by Sunflowers and DIYing and co-hosted by Lolly D's Creations. So make sure you go to the playlist after you watch this video and make sure to watch everyone else's video and see what kind of creations they come up by decoupaging napkins. Now, my next project is a really old women's hat. And it was actually something that had been kind of put back. I used to collect antique women's hats, but this one just had fallen by the wayside and it just wasn't in good shape anymore. So when I decided to do this playlist, I thought this might be a good project. So I painted it with Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I put several coats on the top of it and on the inside, which actually made it very stiff. And this is just a napkin that I've used that was actually a napkin I used to decoupage with at a baby shower. So these were the flowers that were all around the outside of it. So the part of the napkin that I didn't use, I just tore it to the side. Now, once I got it all finished, and I may have kind of gone overboard on those flowers, the more I did, the more I wondered if maybe I should just stop, but I really wasn't sure where a good stopping space was. So what I'm doing now is finishing it off, and this is just some flat lace that I'm pleating by hand. Now, the hot glue gun that I'm using is low temperature, so I'm not burning my fingers at all. So I just start by gluing just a little bit down and just moving some up and pleating it, and then putting some more glue down and just making another pleat, and I go all the way around. And then I make a big bow at the end. So if you like this video, make sure to give a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you already haven't. Now, my next project are just some old stainless steel knives that I thrifted, or butter knives. And I painted the handle of it with Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. And I'm just decoupaging some different napkins. I've done about 3 of them. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because they're plant stakes. So this is just something pretty that you can put in a potted plant in your home, or you can use it outside. Now, if you use it outside, you're probably going to want to use a heavier glue to put it on with. And these are just some different medallions that I have also made with that 10-minute amazing casting resin. And they're with the IOD mold called rosettes. And it's just different molds. And I have spray painted them white to kind of put a primer on it. And then I'm just painting them different colors that coordinate with that napkin. And then I'll be tying a little ribbon around at the bottom of the napkin, but the top of the part where it actually becomes the butter knife. And they look really cute sitting inside of a potted plant. Or if you're like me and you're not good at growing plants, but you have a lot of faux greenery in your home, you can just stick it in that, and it just looks really pretty. So, do you have a lot of plants in your home? I only have faux plants because I'm just not good at growing plants. And this is what they look like. Are those not just the cutest things? Okay, so my next projects are some just wooden spoons or wooden utensils that I actually bought at the Dollar Tree. It was in the more expensive section, and it came with 5 different ones. And I've just painted the top of it white. And these are some little napkins that I got as part of a decoupage club. And it's little teacups. And one is like a little teacup with flowers. And one, the little rounded off one, is a little teacup with a little woman inside of it, which is really cute. And then I go ahead and decoupage that on. And I'm going to put some lace at the base of where the white is, and I'm going to put a ribbon on it. And I actually come up and do a third one. And it's just something that I'll put in like a little white ironstone pitcher and just sit it on the counter. But now I have a vendor booth near my home, and I sell a lot of my things there. So I probably will take this to my vendor booth just because I don't always keep everything that I make. Otherwise, my home would probably be too full. So I like to sell things in my vendor booth. But this is something that you can do, and this is something that's really sweet, especially if you're going to be giving somebody a recipe book. You can make something like this. And here's what they look like in the picture. Now, my last projects are made with the IOD mold called Frames. And it's made with the amazing casting resin. And if you can't tell, I really like this resin. So I have made 3 different ones, and I've spray painted them white just to prime them with. And then I am just gluing some different pictures just right on the center of that. And once it all sets up, then I'm going to glue some magnets on the back of them, and they'll be used as refrigerator magnets. But one of the things that I didn't do that you can also do is you can turn things like this into necklaces, and glue all kinds of things to the center of that little frame. But if you use amazing casting resin, you're going to want to go ahead and punch that hole almost as soon as you take it out of the mold, or it gets too hard. And if that happens and you want to turn it into some sort of necklace, or maybe on the end of a beaded garland, you would have to use like a little drill to put a hole in it. It's not difficult, it's just easier to punch a hole in it right after it comes out of the mold. But it is very hard and very sturdy once it sets up. And I just make 3 little magnets. One is more oblong, and it's more decorative, and one is another oval shape, and then there's a little square one. So here's all of my pieces from today. Tell me in the comments what was your favorite. And do you use magnets on your refrigerator at home? I know that my grandkids like to put the little pictures that they draw when they're at my house up on the refrigerator. But once we get too many, Grammy has to hide them because otherwise they would pile up a lot. But I love all the pieces today. Everything is real shabby chic and real lacy and romantic. And maybe you are more of a farmhouse or more French country. And there are so many napkins to be found on Etsy, on Amazon, that it's really easy to find beautiful napkins in whatever style that you like to decorate in. And you can make the same projects, but just with the kind of napkins that you like. But I do like to decorate with Shabby Chic. And I also have farmhouse at my house. A lot of my stuff is just plain old stuff that came from my family. But I hope you've enjoyed the video today. Make sure that you go out and visit and watch all the videos in the playlist today. I know that you will enjoy all of them. And make sure to like and comment and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you so much.